What is going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. I'm Brandon. This is Extreme Daily Drivers. Thanks so much for stopping by the garage. Today we're making a video that I didn't want to have to make. That's right. Did not want to have to make this video, but Jeep Commander's dead. Won't start. Been in the driveway for a couple days. But hey, don't you get upset. I think I know how to fix it. And I'm going to show you because I've actually had this happen before, believe it or not. And I think I know what happened and why it's not going to start today. So let me show you exactly what it's doing. All right, key in, turn, everything comes on. But when you go to turn the key, nothing. See that? Nothing at all. All right, so basically we have no crank, no start, right? So first thing you're probably thinking is the battery. It's a great place to start. I will tell you that the battery's okay on this. If this car unlocks with the key fob, and you guys saw the dashboard light up, as a matter of fact, look, since I haven't opened my door, my head unit's still on as well as these lights. So clearly the battery has enough juice, and like I said, I know that if it unlocks the car, it will crank over because I've had the battery go dead before. And it's a new battery, so the battery that's in here is less than a year old. So we know it's not the battery. So the next thing that you're gonna probably say is, it's the yellow wire, dude. Go on Facebook, search car won't start. You're gonna find out it's the yellow starter wire. I guarantee that's what the problem is. All right, well, let's talk about that and let's go ahead and check out that yellow starter wire. All right, so the yellow starter wire, that's what you're gonna read about all over the internet. Yellow starter wire, yellow starter wire. The yellow starter wire is a little yellow wire. I'm gonna show you in a second. It leads to the starter. And what can happen over time is that corrosion can build up between the little spade that fits over the starter as well as the starter. Now, these people on the internet will make it sound like the yellow starter wire is so easy to get to. Like, they always say, just wiggle the yellow starter wire. You cannot access the yellow starter wire from above. And you can kind of do it from below if you have really skinny, long arms. The easiest way to get to the yellow starter wire is what I'm going to show you in a second, is on the driver's side wheel well. And you have to pull off. Oh, these guys over here. You guys have heard me talk about these damn things. You got to pull these suckers off before you can get that yellow starter wire. So let me show you exactly what we're talking about here. All right, do you see in there? You see that yellow starter wire? Now you can see that my starter looks really good because it's brand new. Yeah, it's less than a year old, and I cleaned all that stuff up in there, so that the chances of it being the yellow starter wire are really small. So now the yellow starter wire is definitely a thing, okay? You read the comments on Facebook, read the comments on the old Jeep Commander forums. It's a thing. That thing can prevent your car from starting, for sure. If you live in an area where there's a lot of salt, a lot of corrosion, stuff like that, stuff can definitely build up between that spade fitting and your starter. So you should definitely try wiggling it if your car doesn't start. And it may be enough to kind of break the corrosion and make the connection better, and the car will turn over. So now that leads us to the starter. I mean, if we know the battery's good, if we know the yellow wire has made a good connection, well, maybe the starter's bad. And that's definitely possible too, especially if you have the original starter in the car. Now, I don't have the original starter in the car. I replaced that a little less than a year ago, like I've mentioned, because it's the only other time that the Jeep's broken down is in my driveway. I went in to start it one day and it wouldn't start. And I ripped the starter out. It was covered in oil because I had a leaky valve cover for years. Yeah, I had to test it and it was junk. Got a new starter, threw it in there, boom, no issues. So we know the starter's okay. We know the starter's okay. So we got a good battery, we got a good yellow wire, and we got a good starter. So what's left? What else can it be? Well, this is probably what's preventing my car from starting. This is an ignition switch. There's your part number. Got this guy from Amazon, 20 bucks shipped. Or you can go to O'Reilly's and buy it for 40. I took the Amazon route. It did take a couple days to get here, but that's fine. I got a couple cars here to choose from if I need to get somewhere. But anyway, yeah, man, the ignition switch. These things go bad all the time. So let me open this guy up, show you what you're dealing with. And as you may probably already guessed, I've done this before. This is my second one. And the first time I made a little bit of a mistake. Let me get this guy open here to show you what I mean. This is it. This plastic guy here, this guy will stop you from being able to start your car. So now we got to get this installed. How in the world do we do that? Well, I'm going to show you. So your ignition switch is behind here. We got to dismantle this a little bit. We got to pull this drawer down. Come on, drawer. Oh, look at all those wires. I bet yours isn't this bad. But anyway, we are going to get underneath here with our hand, disconnect the switch. We're going to bolt a couple screws, and we're going to be right at that thing, man. So I'm going to actually put a light up in here and see if you guys can see what's up. All right, there's a really good shot of the switch. Okay, do you see that little red tab on there? You got to slide it to the side, and then you'll be able to pull off the big black clip. Here's what it looks like when you got it disconnected. All right, next we're going to go ahead and remove this. There you go. So we have some star bit screws here we'll have to get to, but there's one behind this. So the next step is actually the longest step, and that is take these bolts out everywhere all along this entire dash. So there's actually a recall on this. I think you could take your car to the dealer and they'll replace it for free if it's never been done before. I don't know whether or not it's been done in this vehicle because, like I said, I replaced it like 3 months ago, and it was a Mopar part that I replaced. I don't know if it was the original, but I'm not taking my car to the dealer, not for a $20 part, for crying out loud. So just do it myself. It's so much easier, but it's an option for you if you don't want to mess with all this. But I'll be honest with you, dude, it's super easy. Check out my trick GPS setup, huh? Dude, how sick is this? Let me know down in the comments if you want to see a video on this guy and why I even have it. But for now, I got to remove it. Come on. There we go. Okay, so with the dash removed, now you can see that bolt. You may be saying to yourself, what bolt, dude? I still don't see it. Yeah, that's because it's in there. So once you got those screws removed, you can just push this guy back. So now comes maybe the hardest part of this, is you have to remove the tumbler and the ignition switch together and pull it out the bottom. First time I did this, it probably took me maybe 15 minutes. I think that's probably an average time. There's a lot of stuff in the way. You got to spin it and make it work. I could probably do it now in 30 seconds. So let me get this thing removed. I'm not going to film it because there's too much stuff in the way. But I'll pull it out and we'll go over how all this stuff works. All right, man, here it is. Now, when I said 30 seconds, your boy wasn't lying. You may be saying to yourself, dude, how the heck do you do that in 30 seconds? It took me 15 minutes. And you have all those wires? Well, I did this about 50 times when I first switched this out. I'll go over all that in a minute. But anyway, here is your assembly. So you got your ignition. I forget what this is, this thing that's connected here. I think it's something to do with cruise control, I think. So maybe somebody can correct me in the comments. Here is our switch. This is the guy we're after, right? This is what we're going to replace. And then this other beast that's wired up. This guy here, this is security. All right, so when you're removing this from underneath, just be careful. Don't go bananas. It's awkward. All these little things get hooked on everything as you're pulling, so just be gentle. But hey, man, we got it. So now let's go ahead and disconnect our ignition switch. And you do that by one little tiny star screw right there, and it's a different size, a smaller size than we use on the ignition. So let me get my tool out. We'll get this guy disconnected. Here's that little screw that you got to take out. It's a T10 Torx bit. All right, so I forgot there's actually a tab that holds this in place. You're going to get some needle nose and get him in there. Squeeze gently and then just pry up. Come on, buddy. There it goes. And there's our old one. All right, so real quick story about this guy, the guy I installed 3 months ago. So a little over a year ago, I went to a gas station, got in my car, started up, and it wouldn't start. It did exactly what it's doing right now. Just nothing. I was like, that's weird. I pull the key out, look at the key, put the key back in, starts right up. Start driving down the road, all the gauges go off. The needles just like die. And the car's driving totally fine. All the gauges just shut off. And then like they come on, like every light on the gauge comes on the gauge cluster. Like, what the heck is this? Anyway, 50 feet down the road, it fixes itself. Everything's back to normal. Gauge is working, all this kind of stuff. So anyway, I was like, that's weird. I got to do some research. So I found out that your ignition switch can cause that. So I bought one, and I got a Dorman one. That's what this is. Now, I don't have a ton of experience with Dorman parts. They are a super popular OE replacement company. I've maybe bought like a handful of them over the years. I got this guy because I could get him in 2 days off Amazon, unlike the standard one that we installed today, which takes 5 days. So this guy came, put it on the shelf in the garage, and I was like, I got to install that. I kept driving my car. I kept driving the car for a year. And nothing happened. The gauges never went sideways. Nothing ever happened. Until 3 months ago. I jump in the car to go pull out of the driveway. The gauges die. Lights start coming on. I'm like, oh, here we go. It's that switch. I got to switch that switch out. Anyway, I got to my destination. When I was leaving there, it did what it did today. No start, no start. I did it like 3 times in a row. The car started up, drove down the road, gauges died. So I was like, all right, dude, I got to change that switch out. So anyway, like you guys, I went on YouTube. I watched a whole bunch of really bad ignition switch videos. I went on all of the forums and all that kind of stuff, did my research, and started taking the dash apart, crawled underneath the dash, replaced the switch, put it all back together again, went to start the car, and it did exactly what it did today. Nothing. I'm like, dude, what? I must install that wrong. I didn't think you could install it wrong. Take it all apart again, pull it all out, look this thing over like crazy, magnifying glass. Man, it doesn't work. Plug it in, but don't install it in the dashboard. Same thing. It won't start. Man, it had me going crazy. The hours go by of me trying to figure out what could I have possibly done wrong. Finally, I'm like, you know what? What if I put the key in the ignition and I stick a screwdriver in here? Maybe it'll start then. Sure enough, things start right up, start running. I'm like, what the heck? The switch works. It works with a screwdriver. Why isn't it working with a tumbler? Anyway, I reinstall everything back again. Tried it with a key and it didn't work. Again! This is like I'm hours into this thing, man. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Take it all apart again. Days go by. I'm doing research like crazy, trying to figure out what the heck is the matter with this. Why won't my car start? Finally, I realized this stupid Dorman part, it doesn't start because the tumbler inside here, or whatever you want to call it, the spring, needs to be cranked over a tiny bit more than the key will allow. So I offset this slightly when I installed it and hammered it down with that little screw that holds it in place, thinking that might work. And it did. It did work. Basically, every time I tried to start the car, it started. Sometimes it would take 1 or 2 tries. But the other day, it took like 4. And then today, it didn't start. I could turn 20 times, it won't start. So that's the story behind this guy. If you're thinking about doing this, use the one in the description. There's a link for the standard one. Do not buy the Dorman one, dude. This thing 3 months failed, and it didn't even work from the get-go. So anyway, get the standard one, and dude, buy two. Buy two. These things aren't great. It's that cheap life, man. Keep one in your glove box. Have one in case you get stuck again. And they're easy to switch out. You can do it with just some basic tools in anyone's parking lot. So let me get back finishing the install on this, get everything back together, and we'll do a little recap. So here's a new one that we're going to install. Let's go ahead and throw them on, test them out. Clicked in nice. plug this guy in. All right, now we don't have any bolts in, but it should still work, right? Oh, baby. That's the sound we want to hear. Oh, yeah, buddy. That's the sound we want to hear. Start right up. So I'm going to get everything put back together, let the Jeep warm up. We'll go over everything here at the end. But success. We got the Jeep running again. All right, guys, so there you have it. Ignition switch replaced. And yes, it can prevent your car from turning over. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. I hope it was helpful in some way if you are troubleshooting a car that won't crank for whatever reason. To all the haters who were hoping that my car was totally dead and unfixable, shame on you, man. You know better than that. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. Link down in the description for that standard ignition switch. Just get yourself one, have a spare one sitting around because they go bad, dude. They go bad. It's an affiliate link. It helps the channel out if you use the link. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. Later.